And welcome back to another episode of Born to Talk About Sports. I am your host, Steve Bourne. Again, sorry I missed last week. It was just such a lovely day outside. I just had too much gardening and outdoor stuff to do to do an episode. Plus, I really didn't have anything to really talk about. But this week, we got the NBA and Stanley Cup Finals have started. Miami and Florida are both down 0-1 after this weekend. Big news in the NHL. The Toronto Maple Leafs have found a new general manager and former Flames GM president Brad Treliving. He said all the right things at the press conference, talking about this isn't about the core four. This is about the Toronto Maple Leafs. He'll do anything he can to make the Toronto Maple Leafs better, and not just the core four. So he didn't. He definitely left the idea it's open to trading one of the big four. But Pittsburgh scooped up and they took Kyle Dubas and somehow gave him a promotion for only one playoff series victory in 5 years. He is now team president on a 7-year deal, so he's got his work cut out for him. Pittsburgh's got three long-term deals with 3 more years left, and all no movements on some older players. So good luck to Dubas in Pittsburgh. It'll be interesting who he picks as his general manager. But I'm going to talk about today, after watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, even after Game 1 last night as well, there are about 5 rule changes I would like to see. I'm going to start off with a basic one of a rule to be brought back, and that's the 2-line pass. I know it's fun to see these end-to-end rushes and breakaways and stuff like that, but to me, borderline cherry picking takes a bit of a skill out of the game. It's almost a little cheap to hide behind and not be in with your teammates and try to get it out. Instead, just go for the home run pass. I prefer like the actual try to improve on the skill and actually try to pass the puck, because definitely what I noticed with quite a few series is the art of basically of a pass. It's almost gone. I mean, it's all about at least to clear the zone, because it's all about just chipping it out. It's not about even trying to start a breakout anymore. And I personally, I like to see it. They still have the red line for icing. I just might as well bring in a 2-line pass. It stops the cherry picking, and it makes it tougher for defenses as well for defenses to break it out, and it adds more skill to the game. For number 4, I want to say for any video for shooting the puck over the glass or any high sticking penalty, automatic video review. Unless it's a clear and obvious one, if there's any doubt, go to video review. Get the call right, especially with all this online gambling and single game betting and all these prop bets and stuff like that. You have to get the call right, or who knows what could happen with potential lawsuits or whatever for conspiracy to rig a game or something like that. And when you're not all that transparent, it would only take, and maybe even just add a timer for plays like this. You got 30 seconds. If it's not obvious, 30 seconds, let the play go. But for high sticks and shooting the puck over the glass, especially if it's going to put a team down a man, or potentially for 4 minutes for high sticking, I think it's important to get the call right. Number 3, I'm going to say anytime there's a player injury, again, review it. I know the game is fast. Sometimes dirty hits can happen behind both officials. If a player is down, because right now when a player is injured and training staff has to come on the ice to attend the player cannot be back on the ice for the next shift. Well, why not just add, while the player is being attended to by physician, refs just go quickly, monitor, see what happens. Could he just have lost an edge and crashed in the corner and wrecked his shoulder, or bad case hit his head, or could it be from a dirty hit? I know right now the rules say that you cannot determine a penalty from a video review, but come on, people. You're trying to get the calls right, trying to protect the players. If I mean, like you say, we do see a lot of these hits. I mean, with the Sam Bennett on Matthew Nyes in Game 2, I believe it was, the Leafs Panthers, when he basically, for the wrestling fans out there, gave him a rock bottom, and his head smacked the ice. He was done for the playoffs, but it happened behind the play, and neither ref saw it. Ref can't call what you can't see, so this is why I think anytime it basically stops the dirty stuff that refs don't see, and that could lead to something worse. It protects the players. Yeah, so that's why I'm gonna say anytime a player is injured, or even if a player is bleeding, check it out, because again, you're trying to get the calls right. You're trying to sorry, I know I'm repeating myself, but you're trying to get the calls right, and you're trying to protect the players. And let's face it, you're trying to enforce the rules. Isn't that what the job the referee is doing? Is to enforce the rules? I know I sound like a crazy person, but a ref's job is trying to enforce the rules. Number 2. Now this one's gonna create a bit of controversy. Refs have to face the media. Coaches have to answer the media for any questionable managerial decisions, like why'd you pull the goalie, why'd you put this guy on the penalty kill, whatever. Players have to answer questions from the media for any possible mistakes. Why can't officials? Like say, for instance, player like a ref refused to call a penalty, even though they're staring right at it. They should answer to the media, going, "Why didn't you call that? It was right there. What was the reason? What did you see?" Instead, a lot of people are going, oh, "Okay, yeah, no, it's game man. I hate the term. Hate that bloody term, game management." But also fans are also thinking, "Oh, he doesn't like this team, so he's not gonna call as many penalties." Officials' job is to be transparent and to show no bias. Well, if you're gonna make a controversial call, explain why. I mean, fans want to know. Players want to know, and a lot of times the refs probably don't even tell the players. It's like, "Oh, that's my call," or "That's the way I saw it." That's a cop out. I used to umpire for Newmarket and Ontario baseball for like 10 years. Probably well over 10 years. Geez, the more I think about it, it's close to 20. Where it's like a coach asked me, "Why'd you call that?" Well, in my opinion. A lot of time, yeah, sure, it's in your opinion, but a lot of time it's also a cop out because you don't want to explain anything. But I do think because sometimes officials call it, and not just hockey, but in all sports too. I mean, heck, look, the Blue Jays game yesterday, the pitch that led to John Schneider's ejection, pitch nowhere near the strike zone. It almost scraped Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s shoes, was called a strike. Doesn't have to explain squat. Everybody knows it was probably one of the worst strike calls you'll ever see. And surprisingly enough, it wasn't Angel Hernandez. But again, like I say, I think it's time for the officials to actually have a chance to explain themselves and explain to the media and to the fans. And number 1, this would be a drastic one. But my number 1 is, you can challenge a goal if a penalty happened that led to the goal that was not called. For instance, say a defenseman was tripped, led to a breakaway and scored, or and the trip wasn't called, or an elbow to the head to free him up, or a cross check to free up space, or while holding the stick or something like that that led to a goal. Again, I know the rules say right now you cannot determine a penalty by video review, but again, what are you worried about? Just get the call right. I know it's going to sound like an anti-Florida fan, but when Florida beat the Leafs, the game-winning goal to beat the Leafs and the game-winning goal to beat Carolina were both because Florida got away with a non-call. With the Leafs, it was with when Radko Gudas, Kalle Yarncroc for the Leafs, was ready to block the shot, get in the way of blocking the shot. Radko Gudas grabbed his stick and pulled him out of the way, which freed up the space for, I believe it was Cousins, to score the series winner. And then against Carolina, I can't remember who it was, laid down a cross-check to a Carolina defender, which freed the puck up for Tkachuk to score with 4 seconds left. I know those calls probably didn't determine the series, especially in the Carolina case, because it was 3-0 anyways. But again, it leads to controversy, and again, it leads to people questioning officials' integrity. So those are my five rules I'd like to see put in the NHL. Probably also the 5 rules that you'll never see again or never even hear of. But though again, this is me as a hockey fan trying to vent. I think it would help the game. It would definitely clear up a lot of the questions about integrity of the game, integrity of officials, integrity of the league. And it would also, to me, make the game a little bit more exciting, because now, it would create more power play opportunities for these officials to be actually forced to call penalties regardless of the situation. And to me, and then eventually you'd see more penalties called, but then eventually players would wise up. And so that's where I'm going with this. Is I want the game to be a bit more open. With I just want to stop the game management. I think that's what I'm going with here. I just want to stop the game management of officials picking and choosing what penalties to call. Because sometimes it looks really painfully obvious that. I mean, it's probably not the case most of the time, but it definitely is the case some of the time, where officials are picking and choosing what penalties to call in the situation, and if it burns a team, so be it. It's like, no, you committed a penalty, you should serve the time, regardless if it late in the game, or penalties are 6-0 in the first. Well, team's not listening, call another one, and enough of the game management stuff. So yeah, that's me. That's me venting, guys. Like, subscribe, use the hashtag Born Sports here. Enjoy the Stanley Cup and NBA Finals. Major League Baseball still kicking. All-Star Game voting has started for Major League Baseball, but picking an All-Star after 2 months, sure, why not? And next thing you know, NFL season's right around the corner. Got DeAndre Hopkins, the big free agent right now. Looks like it's toss up between Kansas City and Buffalo, with maybe the Eagles kicking in there. But we'll find out soon enough. And like I say, CFL season's ready to get going. And like I said, NFL training camp's starting in a few weeks. Till then, stay safe out there.